You might want to clarify that.
You'd be assuming that I'm here till I die.
According to John, I am.
I always want to do that. Bzz, 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 bzz. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Recovery Connection, episode number 13. Tonight we have a very special guest with us, Amy L. Say hello, Aim.
Hello.
Welcome to the Recovery Connection, a podcast focused on plugging in Ottawa's recovery community. We're glad you're here. We're glad you could join us. Our mission here is to connect and educate organizations and people in recovery, viewers like yourself, to the vast resources that have gone under the radar in this beautiful community of ours. And we like to build and connect and break the stigma, start fostering a sense of belonging for everyone in recovery. That's a lot of us, eh? Mm-hmm. When we, you know, especially tonight in our conversation, we're going to understand that's a lot of us. Join us live on Facebook, on YouTube at 8 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, where myself, Kevin Williams, if you don't already know who I am, we'll be chatting with friends in community and community organizations on topics that are important to us and just having a great time. Good conversation, good friends, good people. Yeah. If you're joining us live, please send in your questions and answers for our Q&A period after our conversation. The Recovery Connection is available on all major streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts 1 week after each live event. So a week from tonight, during the day sometime, our wonderful, talented, beautiful producer John will edit out this live podcast and make Amy and I sound just fabulous.
That's a good thing.
Yes, that's a good thing. And then you can listen to that while you're working out or going for a walk, walking the dog. Yeah. Follow, like, and share on our social media accounts to stay up to date on upcoming conversations. I usually give you a little teaser of who's coming up in future episodes. And you can start to see who our future guests are and any relevant news that we may have to share with you. So visit our website at jerichoroad.ca to learn more and keep up to date of what's going on here at Jericho Road and what's going on our podcast. Whew, I think that's enough.
That was a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know, John cracks the whip. You gotta say what he tells you to say, right? So let's start off with saying hello to Amy. Hi, Aim.
Hi.
You and I know each other.
Long time.
There's a little bit of history there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and I do joke that you seem to be following me wherever I go.
Yes, I've taken 2 of your jobs so far. And I think I'm done.
Maybe we should. Well, yeah. Well, I'm. No. I think that's going a little ahead of yourself.
Well, anyway, that's another topic.
Maybe we should give a big shout out to our friend Doug Sprunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where we got introduced to one another.
Yep.
That was 11 years ago, 10 years ago.
Probably about 10.
Yeah.
Yep. 9, 10, something like that.
Something like that.
Yep.
At the
Yes.
Salem Storehouse.
Yep.
On Maryville Road.
Yep. In the
Is it
receiving
the Castro
department.
Mall?
Yep.
Is it? Is that what they call it?
I don't know what the mall's called.
Is there a name to that mall? I don't know. I always remember the highlights of working at Salem Storehouse were not only the good people, of course. So there's my plug-in for Doug and Linda Sprunt, but also that Nicastro sandwiches or the store was just at the end there.
Yes.
And we go in for lunch for the
Good Friday lunches.
Good Friday lunches for the Nicastro sandwich with pickled eggplant. And yeah. Anyways, here we are.
Here we are at Jericho Road.
Here we are at Jericho Road. So tonight we want to talk about family support and how people who are experiencing substance use issues and mental health issues, how they affect directly and indirectly people around them, and also a time to plug our family support meeting at Jericho Road. So I'll say this now so I don't forget and John doesn't type it up on the screen for me. Jericho Road has a family support meeting. When is it?
Monday nights,
Monday nights?
7 till 8 p.m.
So if people are interested in learning about how they can be better at handling someone in their family or someone that's close to them who's experiencing substance use issues, how do they get in touch with you? What do they do?
They can send me an email,
Yep.
amy@jerichoroad.ca. You can also call the office and talk to me here or
And you can find that information on our
on
website.
our website.
Yeah.
Everything's on the website. There's a page on the website too about family support. So all the information about the meeting is there. And we've actually just in process of transitioning from doing everything on Zoom to actually doing things in person. So we're making the half for now.
Yeah.
1 week in person, 1 week on
Zoom,
Zoom for
yeah.
the next few weeks. And then we're going to go to all in person so that we can actually, see each other.
Yes. Yes.
Different dynamic in the
Yeah,
group, right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's kind of the same with 12-step meetings right now that we're slowly getting back into. I hate saying normal, but the new normal, whatever that is, but getting back into being together.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because the meeting is not just the meeting.
Yeah.
It's the fellowship before and after. It's the personal connections you make with people. And you need that just as much as you need the meeting part. So.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about personal connections and that later.
Yes.
First of all, I want to get into a bit about why you do what you do. So why do you do what you do? Because you are an integral part of our community here. I for anyone who hasn't talked to me or met Amy, I always say Amy has her black belt in Al-Anon, and we need someone like Amy around to keep us in line.
It's called balance.
So,
yeah. Well, and I'm the anomaly around here because I'm not an addict. I don't have an addiction background. I don't have any substance use disorder. And everybody else does. So it brings a different perspective when you're looking at it from the outside, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And
a different lens.
A different lens.
Yes.
There you go. Yes. And I don't know what an actual statistic is, but sometimes people think, well, it's just the person who has a substance use disorder that's struggling. But in reality, family members, spouses, friends, employers, coworkers, neighbors, that whole realm are also affected, and people don't always recognize it or don't see the effects right away.
And the secondary people, like we know the how it affects the family dynamic, the direct, but as you just stated, there's the so to speak indirect, the domino effect that follows. Yeah.
So like an employer, for instance, right? The person doesn't show up to work, so that's a problem. And then the coworkers now are doing extra work, for instance, or
so now you're affecting them.
And et cetera, and et cetera. And it just kind of
the supplier who's waiting
going
on his stuff that you're putting together in the box to send to him isn't getting his stuff, and now you're affecting him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more people are affected than is realized, and in different ways, of course. Like you said, the family usually, especially if the person is the addict is living with the family, then obviously the day-to-day functioning of the family, the relationships, the interactions, whatever. If it's a spouse, then what their marriage looks like, or the kids and all of that. Like
the drama,
the chaos, the uncertainty, the fear, the anger, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all wrapped up in it, and I think a lot of people that I've met in Al-Anon, anyways. People don't always see that right away, because it's not like it happens overnight, right? It's not like all of a sudden you wake up and your husband or your brother or your sister or somebody is an addict all of a sudden. Like it doesn't just all of a sudden happen. It's a gradual process, and everybody in the family is gradually affected in different ways, and the different roles that you have in the families, and then people don't realize it right away, or there's the denial kicks in. No, he's just a heavy drink. He just likes his beers after work, and not accepting that that's actually becoming a problem, because then he doesn't get up in the morning to go to work the next day, and et cetera, right? So, or just even affecting the family dynamic of, like we were saying, the tension in the home, or the fear, or the feeling you're walking on eggshells around each other, or stuff like that. That's not healthy living. That's not
for anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get off track.
I think we already are,
Well,
but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. I think there's going to be many rabbit holes.
I think so.
When did you come to Jericho Road?
I came to Jericho Road 7 years ago, January.
Has it been that long?
I know. It's crazy.
Get out.
I know. Tell me about it.
Jeez
I've never had a
Louise.
job for more than 4 years in a row. So 7 years is like, what is going on?
Either we're doing something right or you're doing something right.
I think maybe God has something to do with this one. Things are working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I came to Jericho Road, when I initially came, I was working with our long-term mental health guys.
Yeah.
But I'm very much interacting with the guys in the addiction and recovery program and second stage. And I had very minimal understanding of addiction or recovery. And the majority of my understanding came from one of my roommates who was in early recovery. So his way of explaining what recovery is was quite limited because he didn't want me to know a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So then interacting with people every day, with my roommate as well, different traits started coming out of me that I never recognized before. Codependency, enabling. I just thought I was trying to love people. And that's how I knew how to love people, was just, I'm just going to take care of everybody. That's how I love them. But that's not always the healthy way to do it. That's always not always the helpful way.
Yes.
Because sometimes people need to hear the word no. And I didn't know how to do that.
I personally don't like the word no, but
Well, most people don't.
Yes.
But
okay. We got that out.
yeah.
So then what happened?
So then I'd been at Jericho for a couple years, and in the life of the recovery world, there are relapses, there are slips, there are struggles, challenges, and such. And so I'd seen several, and got to one point where somebody, one of the residents, relapsed, and it totally shocked me. Like, I did not see it coming at all. He was in second stage. I thought he was doing really well. Yep. And it just knocked me off my feet, basically. I spent that whole day communicating with his family, mainly his sister and some friends, and just basically obsessively thinking and worrying about him all day long and talking with them. And we can't do anything about it. We don't even know where he is.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole day just doing that. I went to the gym to do my self-care and spent the whole time texting with people about him. Well, that's not self-care. And I'm just sitting on a bike. Like, I'm not doing anything for me. I realized
Were you
at
even
that
pedaling,
point,
or?
I was pedaling, but my head was not there.
Yeah.
So I realized at that point, this has to stop.
Yeah.
I need some tools. I don't have any tools. I don't know how to take care of myself in this. The worry, the obsessive thinking is just totally overtaking me. And what do I do with that? I had no clue. At that point, I knew about Al-Anon. I'd heard about it a little bit. I had a friend who had started attending meetings, and she really liked it. So I thought, you know what? I think I just need to go to a meeting. And so I went that first night. Scared silly. Totally nervous. I don't like walking into new situations anyways.
What was the fear behind it? Because I think that's important for people who've never been and are sitting there going, maybe I should be doing something, right? About this, you experienced, right? The fear and the anxiety. Yeah. So what was the fear about going for yourself?
It was brand new. I had no clue what I was walking into. And I think the fear, for me specifically, was I work in the addiction recovery field. So am I going to come in and people are going to say, well, you shouldn't be here because you don't have any family who are addicts.
Yes.
Right? You just have friends.
Yes. You don't belong here.
You don't belong, basically, is what I felt. And I felt that for a long time when I actually started attending meetings. I kind of felt like I was holding on to the secret that if anybody finds out that I work at a treatment center, they're going to be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
You can only come if it's your family. If it's your family. And then
go pay for a course.
Yeah. But then I started listening to the preamble, to the reading of the steps and the traditions and that. And in the traditions in Al-Anon, it says the only requirement for membership is that there be a problem of alcoholism in a relative or friend. So I was like,
Bang.
oh, I got lots of friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Problems. So, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good. Yeah. So, but that big fear of, I don't belong.
Yeah.
That was probably a big one. And I think that's very common for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because everybody feels unique.
Yes.
Everybody feels like nobody else understands me. And if you get into a meeting, a 12-step meeting like that, and you realize everybody understands me,
Yeah.
which
But it could,
is unusual,
and
right?
it could go the other way too, that I don't think I belong. Someone's like, maybe you should be going to Al-Anon because,
Yes.
you know, your son, your daughter, your spouse, your friend or whatever, and you could be in denial about their
yeah.
their problem and say, what am I doing here? I don't belong here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. I've heard lots of people like that.
Yeah.
But he just drinks after work. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
Right? But that's just how it's always been in our family. It's not unusual. I know lots of people who do that. As opposed to there's actually a problem.
Everyone
And
gets smashed for 3 days on the weekend.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody. Right. Yeah. Denial is a big one.
Yeah.
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 Not just for addicts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's for everybody. Yeah.
So then what happened?
So I went to that meeting, and it's kind of a blur what happened there, but I can still picture the room exactly. I remember who was there. Actually, my current sponsor was there. She was the very first person I met. Very weird.
Sponsors in
and-
Al-Anon?
Sponsors in Al-Anon, just
Thank
like
you.
in AA.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all need somebody to talk to.
Okay.
Yeah, so the whole meeting, I think, pretty much went over my head because I was just in this kind of shock of what is going on. And at the very end, when they close out the meeting, they read just a set closing. And part of that says, you'll come to realize that though you may not like all of us, or I'm going to say this wrong. You come to understand that though you may not like all of us, you'll come to love us in a very special way, the same way we already love you. And I heard those words like they were screaming at me. And I can still picture the lady sitting there saying that. And I was like, what do you mean you love me? You don't know a thing about me. How could you possibly love me? What are you talking about? I've never heard that in my life. Or the other part of my brain said, okay, you might say that, but the minute you talk to me and you find out what I'm really like, you're not going to love me. When you figure out how much anger is in me, you're not going to love me anymore, right? And so that took a while to get that in my head, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. I needed to hear that love and acceptance, and
At that moment, too.
at that moment,
Yeah.
and then to start experiencing it. Every time I went to a meeting, I experienced it. After I went to a few and people saw me a couple of times, oh, it's so nice to see you. Really? Thanks. Okay. Who are you?
Yeah.
Right? Or just remembering my name after meeting me once, or asking me to go out for coffee with them afterwards, or stuff like that. Like just that sense of belonging, that sense of community, that sense of acceptance, unconditional love, I want to say, in the sense that they didn't care what I'd been through. They didn't care if I said 2 words in the meeting or if I spilled my guts. They still accepted me, which is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. And just, I think that sense of belonging is huge.
Yeah.
Everybody needs
Yeah.
that. So.
And so you started going weekly?
Started going weekly. I checked out several different meetings because they suggest you go to 6 meetings, try the different ones out, see if this is for you. So I did that.
So for our listeners, lots of Al-Anon meetings in Ottawa?
Lots of Al-Anon meetings, basically every day, at least 1, if not 2. Because of Zoom now, you can go to a meeting in Australia if you'd like. But yeah. But in Ottawa specifically, lots of meetings. Hooked up with one group that I really liked and committed to going there every Saturday morning, and got to know people a little bit more. After about 6 months or so, got a sponsor because I knew that was going to help me work the steps and actually learn how to do all the stuff I keep hearing about every week. I need somebody to help me figure out, how do I actually live this? How do I heard this, and how do I actually do that every day? Or how do I apply it to my situation, right? So.
And so,
Yeah.
how many years have you been in Al-Anon?
I've been in 4 years last month.
Wow. That's incredible.
So, which when I say that, I go, that doesn't seem like very long. And yet, it's a chunk of time,
Yeah.
right? And everybody's different,
Yeah.
right? I know people that have been in the program 30 years, still go every single week, still have a sponsor, still do that, still contribute, still do service, because it's their lifestyle. It's what helps them stay in a place of peace and serenity, helps them to give back to other people, get those newcomers in and share the message. And that's how it works, right?
Yeah. So, what's your big takeaway for our listeners on what Al-Anon has done for you?
I think probably my biggest is that I'm not alone. And I think that's the biggest message for anybody to know. You're not alone. Whatever situation you're in, you're not alone. My situation might be different circumstance-wise. I still get it. I still get the emotions. I still get the fears. I still get the anger. I get the emotions behind it, right? Yeah, and I think too, just learning tools of recovery, but they're not just for recovery. So the things that I've learned on how to deal with resentments, for instance, aren't just for dealing with interactions with people with substance use disorder. I use that for the guy that just cut me off on the road when I was coming down here, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Like, because you start to practice these things in everything that you do.
And so the big takeaway there is we're not the only ones that deal with resentments.
Oh, no, you are not the only one that deal with resentments.
As special as I'd like to think we are.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Actually, there is a, I was just looking in an Al-Anon pamphlet today, and it said, often people can identify that there's a problem of alcoholism in a family because of the family, not because of the alcoholic.
Yes.
Because the family is sicker than the alcoholic.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you for the translation. Yes.
So the alcoholic gets upset about something and goes and drinks. He's good to go.
Yeah.
The family gets upset about something and just is ranting and raving and screaming and hollering and hiding booze and doing all sorts of millions of things because they got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And much more obvious.
What did you learn about yourself? Not to get too personal, but what did you learn about yourself in the process?
A lot. Fourth step was a long one. Actually, an Al-Anon is really long.
Yeah.
It's a whole book.
Yeah.
I think I learned one of my main things is that I'm a really good caretaker, which means I can take care of everybody. I can identify everybody else's problems. I can tell you what all the solutions are to your problems. But that's not helpful.
Yes.
So I've learned that I need to switch over to being a caregiver, which is I can care for you, I can support you, I can love you, I can encourage you in things without doing it all for you.
But I can't make you do it.
I can't make you do it.
Yeah.
So it's that detachment, right? That separating myself in that sense of I can still care about somebody, I can still love them. I don't have to get totally enmeshed in their problems. I don't have to get totally obsessed with what are they going to do. I used to go home from work before Al-Anon. I'd go home from work. My head would be spinning about all the different ways that this person should be changing and doing and fixing that problem that he's got. And I'd spend the whole evening doing that.
Yeah.
For what?
For what? Yeah.
I'd get back to work the next day and he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And it's done. Like, okay, well, why did I just spend my whole evening? What a waste.
Yeah. All that mental, physical, spiritual energy.
Exhausting. Exhausting. For nothing. For him to go, no thanks.
Resentmentless.
Resentments. Big time. Big time. If he would just.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I think that's a whole episode.
Oh,
eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you would just do what I said.
Yes. Yeah.
We're good.
Well, that's what I always say, right? If everyone just did what I wanted them to do, life would be grand.
Oh, perfect.
Wouldn't it?
Easy peasy.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, before we get down that rabbit hole, let's talk about ways family is affected by someone who has a substance use disorder.
Yeah. There's a phrase in the Al-Anon Big Book that says, when the alcoholic acts and we react.
I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what happens, right? So you have somebody who has some, I don't know, I can't think of an example right now, of course.
I always say that it's very similar. I spent my whole life reacting. That's all I did. I just to every situation, to every problem, to every fear, to every resentment, to every feeling of guilt, shame, whatever, I reacted. And so that's why my life was a mess, because I reacted to everything. Not only was my life, as we say, unmanageable, but my thinking was unmanageable because there was no thinking. When you're reacting to things,
Yes.
there's no thinking.
Yes. As opposed to responding.
Yeah.
Where I take a minute to think, should I do this?
Yes. Or two, or an hour, or a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't hit send until you've read it over a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's one of the wonderful things that I think, as a community at Jericho Road, we I hate to say it, but we practice those principles in all our affairs. And so we're used to working together because we have the same principles, right? Yeah. Let's take a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you read this email before I hit send?
Yeah. Please.
Yes. I'm afraid that's too harsh there.
So how does a family react usually?
Yeah.
I know we try to control their drinking or their using.
Yeah, because I think a big part of the family's role is they can see that there's a problem, and the alcoholic or the addict seems to think that there isn't a problem. So if I think that there's a problem, then I want to fix that problem. If I see you're sick, I don't want you to be sick. I want to do something about it to make you not be sick anymore, right? So lots of control, whether that's hiding the booze or hiding the car keys, or whether that's
controlling the bank account,
making decisions for them, doing things for them that they should be able to do for themselves, taking on their responsibilities. So they missed a bill. Oh, well, I'll just cover it so that he doesn't get in trouble.
I remember talking to a family just on that one point, and that's what was going on. The mother was paying the cell phone bill for the son because he couldn't get up to go to work on the weekend. And she was doing it so that the father wouldn't know and he wouldn't get upset at the son.
So there's all sorts of stuff going on there then.
Yeah. I was just like, wow.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part especially with parents, because they're your kids. And so I've heard so many parents say, but they're my kids, I got to take care of them. Yes. However, if your kid is 20, 21, and isn't taking care of his own responsibilities, there's got to be some point of letting them fall, so to speak, to let them help them to realize that this isn't working. Yeah. Right? And it might not work.
If I have a whole bunch of people around me that are enabling my behavior, I'm never going to change my behavior.
Yeah. Well, it's easy. Why would you? Everybody else is taking care of it. Why should I? Yeah. I think that's a big one with families, is that taking on the responsibilities. Yeah. That's huge. Right?
I remember talking with someone and they were buying their son alcohol because they didn't want him to leave the house in case he injured himself being intoxicated. So they were buying him the alcohol so he could
drink at home
safely.
Right.
And I remember going to see my mother that week, and I told my mom, I said, why didn't you ever do that for me? Why didn't I have anyone buying my booze and bringing it home to me? Jeez. What's wrong with you?
You could have been so easy. Yeah. Great.
And if you know my mother, I can't say the response on air.
We'll leave that for another day.
Okay, so other ways family are affected.
I think we'd already covered some of this, but taking the blame, trying to cover up the secret, that's a big one. Feeling that it should be a secret.
Why do we hide?
I think shame. embarrassment. People don't understand. People really don't understand, right? I've heard so many families say, we couldn't talk to our friends about this because they would just tell us, well, just make them stop.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any concept of what addiction is and how it is affecting the person.
There's also stigma surrounding that as well, right?
Yeah.
Not the stigma that the parents or loved ones are bringing upon themselves because of someone else's substance use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if there's denial in there too, then that plays a role. I think secrets definitely are a big one, right? And again, going back to the feeling that I'm alone. Nobody understands. So if I'm going to certain friends who really don't understand addiction and trying to talk to them about it and they don't get it, that emphasizes that I got to stay home and keep my secrets to myself, right? Yeah. As opposed to if I'm talking with somebody who gets it, i.e. Al-Anon, then those secrets start to come out because I realize, this isn't such a big deal, right? Or
and secrets keep us sick. Huge. Yeah.
Another thing, obviously worry, anxiety, stress, fear, anger, all those lovely emotions that get wrapped up into that. Another thing I've heard a lot of people talking about is, if I just tell him that, if he drinks one more time, then he's out of the house. But then they never follow through on it. So just those kind of threats that if you aren't capable of following through on that, then that's just enabling the person. Well, he came back and he was all nice and everything's all good, so we're okay again.
Yeah.
The cycle just continues, right? Because addiction's not going to just stop.
Yeah.
It's going to continue.
I'm sorry, but you just made me think of something from AA about that. And there's this joke that I've heard many times in AA, and the enabling wife goes to the alcoholic and says, honey, if you drink one more time, I'm leaving you. And the husband says, darling, if I drink one more time, I won't care.
Well, yeah.
Right?
But there's a lot of truth in
there?
That.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because just like I was saying before, right? The alcoholic goes and drinks.
Yeah. And he's fine.
All his worries are gone, all his fear, he's good.
Yeah, albeit temporarily.
Right, yes. The spouse or the family member is sitting there with all the guilt and the fear and the shame and the anger and the resentment and it just keeps building because there's no out for it.
Yeah.
So, or there's outs, but they're not healthy either. So,
and so when we continue to live like that, what is the end result?
Unmanageability of life, insanity, all of those things. I think people. So both people who are living like that or people who've grown up in alcoholic homes, for instance, their parents drank when they were kids or whatever, you just learn survival techniques. You learn coping mechanisms because you have to continue to survive. And so what do those survival techniques look like?
And that's a good point, because before we move on to our next rabbit hole, so to speak, we want to address to the children. So children of alcoholics and people who grew up in alcoholic families, rather than being the parent, the spouse, the sibling, right? And so are there different manifestations in what we do in that as being a child of an alcoholic, or are we dealing with the same stuff?
It's the same stuff. It just probably has different angles to it, right? So if you think of a young child growing up in an alcoholic home, that's all they know. That's their world. They know that mom always gets angry after work, and then she has a drink, and then she's good, right? Or whatever it looks like, whatever that situation looks like. So kids especially have to have those coping techniques because those coping mechanisms, because there is nothing else, right? They have to survive, which is a little different than an adult with their survival techniques because they have a little bit more resources, right?
Yeah. And then that manifests as we age, right?
Oh yeah.
So
you bring that with you.
That's right.
Your thinking.
And one of the subjects that we've talked about on this podcast before is adverse childhood experiences. And so then I bring those traumas from having a parent
Yep.
or parents who are dealing with substance use issues, alcoholism, drug addiction, and living in survival mode, and the trauma and whatnot that goes with that, and then how that manifests in my life as I grow up.
Yeah, because our perceptions of things, or how we view the world, or how we think,
Yeah.
right? If I've grown up in constant fear, then I'm going to have constant fear as an adult too,
Yeah.
because I don't know any different
Yeah.
until you do find something different, right? And so I think that's why it's really important for people who come to Al-Anon as well. A lot of them recognize, oh, wait a minute, now that I know more about addiction, now I know more about alcoholism, I'm looking back and I'm like, yeah, that was my grandpa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He used to do that every time he
Yeah.
came to the house, or uncles or aunts or coworkers or anybody, right? Like just
Cousins.
anybody, right? Some people say, you shake my family tree and it all
Yeah. Yeah.
alcoholics fall out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's people who so if it's a family, children, there's Alateen
Yes.
for kids, well, older kids, not
Yeah.
young kids, so that they can get their own support, so that they can talk with other teenagers who are going through similar experiences and share their experiences, which is a little different from an adult's perspective, right? And give them that safe space
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So,
and that's why I ask, right? So, so I guess for our listeners, we have Alateen,
Yep.
we have ACOA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, Al-Anon. Is there anyone I'm missing?
Nope.
I think
but
that's the
but
gamut.
in Al-Anon, even there are some meetings that are more focused on adult children of alcoholics. So the majority of people there might all be adult children.
Yeah,
Not to say that anybody else is excluded, but their focus on topics might be a little bit more that way, just to give them some more support.
yeah,
So there
yeah.
are some meetings that are a little bit more focused that way.
Yeah.
So
tailored.
yeah, tailored. That's
yeah,
the word.
yeah.
Tailored. Yes.
So I'm listening tonight, and I have someone in my family who I know has a substance use issue. What do I do? Like, what's the first step?
The first step, I think probably the first one is to just recognize that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we don't actually accept that there's a problem, then you can't do anything about it. You're still in denial, right? And thankfully, the internet, you can get information on anything,
Yeah.
right? So you can do some research on what is addiction.
Yeah.
How is this alcohol?
Does Al-Anon have the 20 questions?
No.
No. Okay.
What's I don't know what
AA
to-
has the 20 questions. Do you miss work due to your drinking? Yes.
Oh,
Do you have
right.
you ever
Right.
and you you got 3 or more yeses.
Yeah.
Chances
Well,
are.
we do have a little pamphlet that's are you troubled by someone else's drinking?
Okay.
And there's a bunch of questions
There we go.
similar to
There
that.
we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Or then I think there's another one too about did you grow up in an alcoholic home?
Yes.
Or same kind of idea.
Just to help
questions.
us maybe
Yeah.
if we're
If you can check a few of these boxes, then you might
Yeah.
need to look into some help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a big part of it is just learning about addiction and what it is and how does it affect my loved one, right? Because when we can realize or we can learn that the addiction is not the person, and then we can separate that, because lots of times we're so wrapped up. Why can't he just stop? Why can't he just do this? Why can't he just whatever? If somebody's in active addiction, you can't reason with them. You can't talk them out of it. You can't. It's not going to work, right? But when you recognize, okay, that's his addiction talking right now, I'm going to wait until he's sobered up, and then I'll talk to him in a logical frame of mind, right?
I was
so
very
that's
reasonable.
separating. Oh, yeah. I find that hard to believe.
my poor mother. Oh,
We should
my
bring your mother
goodness.
on
Yeah.
here.
Thank God she doesn't have internet. Okay.
So learning about addiction, get help for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody's hesitant to, right?
And recognize that it is a disease.
It's a disease. Yeah,
Yes.
it's an illness. It's not going to just go away.
Yeah.
It's not going to just all of a sudden he's just going to stop tonight drinking and that'll be the end of
Yeah.
it. Like it's a process.
Yeah.
There's a lot that needs to happen.
We always have those conversations where you have to understand that it's a disease like cancer, right? And so, you know, if my son has cancer, I can't go and make the cancer go away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if my son had cancer, I'd get a doctor and help and try to, you know, help him with his cancer, but I need other people to help me do that. And then I'm going to need help for myself. You know, if he's not well, I may need support and people to walk me through my grieving process and right?
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I just read I think it was today even, I read something somewhere that it's like Alzheimer's disease because it steals the person. Just like addiction steals the person away.
Yeah.
That's not my loved one. He doesn't act like that normally.
Yeah.
Right? He only acts like that when he's using. He only acts like that when he's drinking. Alzheimer's, same. I mean, you can never make a perfect comparison,
Yes,
but
of course
just in
not.
the idea of it, that that's my loved one. He's not. He's not himself today.
Yeah.
Right?
And
because the disease is taking over.
That's right.
That
We
day.
always say it's a
Yeah.
disease of taking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes everything.
Takes everything.
It
Takes the person.
Takes the person. Takes the
Yep.
personality. Takes everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
Rational thought.
Yep. Yeah.
That's usually the first to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how else can we help ourselves? And it's you and I have talked about this before. It's that oxygen mask in the airplane scenario,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, when you're on an airplane and they say, you know, if you're with a loved one, a child or whatever, and there's an emergency, the oxygen masks are going to drop from the ceiling. And what's your first thing you do?
You put it on
You put it on yourself.
so that you can then help
That's
your
right.
child. Yeah. Because if you put it on your child and you pass out, you're no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting help for yourself, find an Al-Anon meeting, start connecting with people in the recovery community that way, learning about addiction. Yeah, I think as you start, it's a process.
Yeah.
Right? So it's also that understanding that just because I show up at a meeting or just because I go to my 6 meetings I'm supposed to go to, I'm not all of a sudden going to have all the answers and everything's going to be rosy again. Right? Everything's going to be fixed. It's a process. This didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while to unlearn some things and to relearn
that's
some
what we
things.
always say, right? If it took you 10 years to walk into the woods, you're not walking out in a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Before we get on talking about our support group here at Jericho, if anyone's out there and listening to us or listening to our podcast next week, what would be your biggest suggestion to someone who's sitting there going, oh, maybe I should be doing something. Maybe I need to get some help. What would you say to them?
Like someone who's in addiction?
No, someone
the family.
who's the family.
I think find a meeting.
Yeah.
I think find a meeting is your best, because the minute you start to realize you're not alone, that's the game changer, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And so
See, there's what I was looking for right there. Beautiful.
You make that connection with other people. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Things are going to start to happen for you, and that helps you to recognize I can't actually fix him. I can't fix my loved one as much as I want to. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants help, or she wants help. Sorry, I always say he.
Yeah.
Jericho Road.
Yeah.
If your loved one wants help, I still can't help him, right? Because I'm not an addict. I don't get it. I don't know what that's like. I need to direct him to somebody who knows. So somebody in AA, somebody in NA, get to an NA meeting, an AA meeting. If you know somebody in there in the program, get them connected, because then they can get their help and I can get my help where I'm at.
Yeah, and as you said, if you know somebody, right? And you and I were talking the other morning briefly, and I always remember our good friend Mike P, and he always used that scenario about the population of Toronto, because the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction says that someone who's in active addiction directly affects 5 people. So if you take, let's just use Ottawa instead of Toronto because we live in Ottawa. So you take Ottawa, roughly 10% on average are people suffering with substance use issues. So that's 100,000 people. And so those 100,000 people are directly affecting 5 people. So that's 500,000 people who are affected, directly affected by it.
Yeah, directly.
It boggles my mind, those numbers.
Yeah. And then you add on the indirect that are still affected.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Right? You might not see him every day, but he's worried about your family because he sees weird things going on. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Or
why is the car on the lawn?
Yeah. Or just, they didn't bring the garbage in again, just simple things, right?
Yeah.
Just so it's much broader than we realize, I think.
And so we have to start talking about it, taking down the stigma around it, because it's happening to a lot of us, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fear, right? The fear is huge.
Yeah.
So helping people to realize that they're not alone, I think, helps to get people past that fear.
I always like that the big book, Fear is the Common Thread woven through the fabric of the very existence of our lives. And that applies to all of us, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, I want to before we run out of time, my goodness, I know. Before we talk about our family support group here at Jericho, remember if you have any questions, send them in right now, and John will put them up on the screen for us, and we'll try to answer them. Okay, Jericho Road's Family Support Group. When is it?
Monday nights, 7 till 8 p.m. This coming Monday, it will be here in the Jericho Road office.
Okay.
Walkley Road.
Yeah. If they want to get in touch, go to our website.
Go to the website. All the information is there. And
here's the big question. Do you have to know someone in Jericho Road? Do you have to...
If you have a loved one who is suffering from addiction or is in recovery, is in early recovery, and you're still not feeling great yourself, come. Yeah,
Excellent.
It's open for anybody.
Excellent.
Yep.
What can they expect when they come?
So we've just kind of, at this point, we're just doing just a basic meeting. So similar to an Al-Anon format, but very casual. Just a simple welcome. We're doing a little bit of short teaching on some basics in Al-Anon principles, recovery principles, and then some sharing time, some questions and answers, share where you're at, get some support, that kind of thing. So,
and it's not just for parents?
Parents, siblings, friends, aunts, uncles, employers, anybody who needs some support, anybody who feels like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and they need to get connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you feel like, I don't know how to help my loved one, come.
Yes.
Because we learn about that too.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, we need to learn about how to take care of us, but we also in that learn how to in a healthy way take care of our loved one.
Yes, and then there's the big word, I always like to say it when we're talking about family support and Al-Anon, barriers. Putting up healthy barriers. Boundaries. Sorry, I always say barriers. Boundaries, yes. So that...
Yeah, so I'm not enabling.
Yes.
And so that, like I'd mentioned about the separating the person from the disease, then if I have healthy boundaries... and that person relapses or that person is having whatever kind of a day, I don't have to get sucked into it. I can stay on my side for safety reasons, for sanity reasons, for whatever it is that I need.
Yeah,
right?
Which one comes first?
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but boundaries are huge, right?
Yeah.
And they're hard to learn because they're not, this is how you set a boundary. It's very fluid and it depends on the situation, depends on the moment, depends on the people, et cetera, but learning those options, I guess, and the tools of how do you do that. Beautiful.
Any questions, John? No questions. We got off the hook. You know what that means, eh? We did a good job.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Covered everything.
We covered everything. Excellent. Let's see. I got a few end of podcast episodes. Let's see. A look ahead. Where am I? Our next Recovery Connection episode will be on April 7th. where we will be chatting with Lisa Fabian from the Bethel Care Center,
Cool.
who we're familiar with, right? They do a lot of great work there, but I don't want to tell you what they do. I'll let Lisa tell you about that. So that's in 2 weeks. And then April 21st, we'll have our regular Voices in Recovery podcast. I'm not going to tell you who's on that one, but you got to be there. This episode of the Recovery Connection will be available on all our streaming platforms beginning next Thursday, after John edits out all our ums and ahs and table taps and heavy breathing. And yeah, he does such a wonderful job. We love you, John. We appreciate you, John.
Great job, John.
Thank goodness there's not a camera on John. And for more information or to donate to Jericho Road, visit our website, www.jerichoroad.ca, and check it out. There's lots of great information, lots of great resources on it, and you can get connected to Amy if you are thinking you need support, if you're unsure, whatever. Even if you just want to ask Amy a question.
Yep.
Right?
Can I just add one quick thing in there?
You can add whatever you want.
On our website, we have the Family Support Forum.
Yes.
So that's a place where there's some articles posted, some readings posted. People can read it to learn a little bit about recovery. And there is a chat option too. So if you just have a quick question, you can use that and I'll get back to you.
And I'm going to leave us with something. I read this today, as a matter of fact, and I think it was God speaking to me because it was so appropriate for our discussion tonight. You ready?
Okay.
Drugs and love don't mix. You either drop the drugs for what you love or you drop what you love for the drugs. So there's a little something for our listeners to think about as we end this episode.
Very good.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I don't think it'll be the last time you're here. I think maybe we'll have to bring you on every now and then to keep us in line. Is that okay?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah,
okay.
I can do that.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. We love you all. If you need any information, you just want to ask a question, you're curious, or you think you really do need help, go to our website, www.jerichoroad. We'll be more than happy to help you and get you on that path of recovery. God bless everybody. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk soon. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.